You ever wonder why certain people get under your skin? Why their arrogance, their fake confidence, their ego rattles you and pulls you into their game? Here's the brutal truth. You're still giving them power. You still think the loudest man wins. But real dominance? It doesn't need noise. It needs silence. This isn't about petty revenge. This is about reclaiming your masculine edge. Because if you still believe that winning an argument equals respect, you've already lost the war. Stoicism is the antidote to emotional slavery. It's how you stop reacting and start controlling, not them, you. This is the way of quiet strength, where your calm presence says more than your words ever could. Today I'm going to show you how to break egos without making a sound. Most men today are emotional lightweights. One insult and they spiral. One power move and they beg to be seen. You think you're strong because you can yell louder? That's not strength. That's weakness in disguise. You've been trained to react, never to observe, to argue, never to master. And until you learn to hold the line in total silence, you'll keep giving clowns control over your peace. The real flex is not needing to respond at all. Number 1, embrace stillness. Let silence speak. You want to break someone's ego? Then stop talking. Stop explaining. Stop defending. Stop filling the space with weak noise just to feel heard. Because here's the truth, most men never learn. In conflict, the loudest man is usually the weakest. He argues because he's trying to convince. He raises his voice because he's already lost control. He fills the silence because he's terrified of what it reveals. But stillness is terrifying because it exposes everything. When you stay silent during confrontation, you shift the power instantly. You make the other person carry the weight of their own words. You turn their emotional outburst into an echo chamber, one they're trapped in alone. Ego feeds off reaction. When you deny it that, it crumbles, silently, powerfully. This is Stoic dominance in its purest form. Not passive, not indifferent, but deliberately still. You're not avoiding the fight. You're showing you're beyond it, because a man who doesn't flinch is a man who's already won. Let's break this down into what it requires from you. The Stoic principle, emotional detachment. You have to understand this deeply. Not every attack needs a defense. Not every insult deserves a response. When you detach from the need to react, you strip their power to provoke you. This doesn't mean you become cold. It means you become untouchable. The storm can rage, but you're the mountain it crashes against. The masculine mindset, inner control, outward dominance. Anyone can raise their voice. Anyone can throw a tantrum. But it takes a man with real strength to say absolutely nothing and still own the room. Control yourself first. That's the new battlefield. Don't try to dominate people. Dominate your inner world, because the moment you master your mind, your energy speaks louder than any word ever could. Practical steps to apply this today. 1. Pause before speaking. When someone challenges you, your first instinct will be to respond. Don't. Let there be a pause. Let the silence sit. Let them feel the weight of your composure. It makes them nervous. It makes them guess. 2. Maintain eye contact with zero expression. You don't need to posture or puff your chest. Just look directly into their eyes. Neutral, steady, unreadable. No smirking, no frowning, just calm intensity. That alone can unravel someone's ego in seconds. 3. Use deliberate non-verbal cues. Slight tilt of the head, slow blink, arms calmly crossed. These subtle movements speak volumes. They say, I see you, but I'm not moved by you. That's dominance without a single word. 4. Journal your emotional triggers daily. Stillness is built in solitude. Take time every day to write what got under your skin. What triggered you? Then ask why. The more aware you become, the less power those triggers will have over you. 5. Practice silent observation in daily interactions. You don't always need to speak. Watch how people move, how they react, how they try to fill space. Learn to observe without jumping in. You'll start to see patterns in human behavior. and eventually you'll spot every insecurity before a word is said. This is how you start breaking egos without a single word. You become the calm force in a world addicted to noise. And the truth is, people don't forget the man who didn't flinch, because when everyone else reacts, you remain still, and in that stillness, they realize they've already lost. Number 2, level up in private. Let your results humble them. You want to really destroy someone's ego? Don't argue with them, outgrow them. They expect you to clap back, to lash out, to throw shade like a child. But what they never expect is your silence. And then, a few months later, you pull up in better shape, more focused, richer, stronger, quieter. You didn't talk about the grind. You just became the result. That's the most humiliating blow to the ego. Because now, they can't deny what you've become, and they can't claim any part of it. That's the move. Show progress, not emotion. Why it works. Ego thrives in noise, trash talk, drama, emotional reactions. But results cut deeper than words ever could. They thought you'd argue. Instead, you vanished. And while they kept yapping, you kept building. Now you walk in a room, and their ego flinches, not because of what you said, but because of what you've become. That's power. That's Stoicism in motion. The Stoic principle: focus on what you control. You can't control their opinion. You can't control their doubts, but you can control your habits, your actions, your daily grind. That's where the Stoic lives, in the process, not the performance. Don't waste your breath trying to prove them wrong. Just get so far ahead, they disappear in your rear view. The masculine mindset: quiet progress, loud promises. Masculine energy is about direction, not noise, not performance, not validation. You don't need to broadcast your every move. You need to build in silence and let your life speak for itself. The more you talk, the less you're doing. The more you post, the more you're seeking attention, not mastery. You're not here to be seen grinding. You're here to win silently. Then show up as the man no one thought you could become. Practical steps to apply this today. 1. Cut social media bragging. Posting every workout, every rise and grind, quote, every accomplishment. It's weakness in disguise. Stop broadcasting your progress. Start protecting it. When nobody knows what you're building, nobody can attack it. 2. Track goals privately. Every day log your wins, fitness, finances, focus, not to show anyone, but to sharpen your own blade. Be your own proof. Be your own scoreboard. Because once the scoreboard is internal, you stop performing for the crowd. 3. Let success show in your physique, lifestyle and composure. Your body should speak before you do. Your lifestyle should reflect your discipline. Your presence should quiet a room, not with volume, but with value. People should look at you and know you've been putting in the work. 4. Read and grow in silence. Every book you read, every skill you learn, every hour you put in, that's a weapon they'll never see coming. Read in silence, apply in silence, and watch how loud your life becomes. 5. Build what they said you couldn't, without ever mentioning it. They said you'd never make it. Good. Now build it quietly. Let your results be the slap they never recover from. And never ever say "I told you so," because silence backed by undeniable progress hurts more than any insult ever could. This is how you dominate the game without ever raising your voice. Not by begging for credit, not by announcing your plans, but by moving like a shadow and rising like a king. You don't need revenge, you need results, and those results will speak louder than you ever could. Number 3, refuse to react. Kill their ego with indifference. Here's a brutal truth. Most people don't actually want a reaction. They need it. Their ego survives on it. They provoke, they insult, they push your buttons just to prove they can control you. But what happens when you give them nothing? What happens when you stare straight through the noise and stay unbothered? Their power evaporates. Their ego collapses, because the game they were playing only worked when you played back. That's the power of indifference, not fake detachment. Real, trained, unshakable emotional control. This is where the average man breaks. But you're about to become dangerous. Why it works: their ego craves your reaction like a drug. If they insult you, and you flinch, they win. If they push you, and you push back emotionally, they own your frame. But if you don't respond, if you don't even blink, you humiliate their ego in silence. Because deep down they were never in control, you were. The less you react, the more they unravel, and the more respect you silently command. The Stoic principle, apatheia, freedom from passion. This is one of the core teachings of Stoicism. Apatheia doesn't mean you feel nothing. It means you are not ruled by what you feel. Your emotions exist, sure, but they don't dictate your behavior. You choose how you move, every time, and that makes you untouchable. The masculine mindset, emotional control, is power. Masculinity isn't about being emotionless. It's about being undisturbed. The world can rage, people can provoke, chaos can erupt, and you stay centered. You don't let emotions pull you off course. You don't let petty people decide your energy, because the man who controls his emotions controls the entire room. Practical steps to apply this today. 1. Practice breathwork. When angered, your nervous system is your weapon. When you feel the surge, breathe deep, in through the nose, hold, slow out through the mouth. It calms the fight or flight instinct. You don't let the fire burn, you snuff it out before it starts. 2. Create emotional distance through perspective. Ask yourself, will this matter in a year? Most of the things that trigger you today will be irrelevant tomorrow. Zoom out, detach. Don't sacrifice your inner peace for something that doesn't even matter long term. 3. Use the 3-second rule before reacting. Before you speak, before you gesture, before you roll your eyes, wait 3 seconds. That pause creates space between impulse and power. And in that space, you stay in control. 4. Use minimal words in emotionally charged situations. You don't need to justify. You don't need to explain. Short answers, neutral tone, no energy given. Let them drown in their need for drama while you stay dry. 5. Keep your tone level and face unreadable. This is one of the hardest, most powerful skills a man can master. No smirking, no glaring, no reacting. Face unreadable. Voice flat, energy calm. You speak like a man who's already made peace with the outcome. Because nothing they say can shake you. Let them shout, let them accuse, let them try to provoke. You give them nothing, not because you're weak, but because you're in complete control. You're no longer moved by chaos. You are the calm, and that calm kills their ego faster than any argument ever could. 4. Master presence. Intimidate with composure. There's a kind of power that doesn't speak. It doesn't argue. It doesn't need to prove anything. It just walks into a room and shifts the energy. That's presence. And it's deadly to the ego, because the ego wants noise. It wants to be seen, praised, acknowledged. But a man who doesn't need attention commands it without effort. That's the move. Enter the room without needing to dominate it. And suddenly, you dominate everything. Why it works? Ego can't stand being ignored, especially by someone who radiates composure, confidence, and control. When you walk in calm, unbothered, unshaken, unfazed, you shine a light on every man who's faking it. They laugh too loud, brag too hard, move too fast. They're trying to fill the room. You don't need to. Your stillness exposes their performance. Your control exposes their insecurity, because true presence doesn't demand attention. It attracts it, and it unsettles the ones who crave it. The Stoic principle, dignity in action. The Stoics didn't walk into rooms looking for approval. They carried themselves with quiet strength, inner order, and purpose. They didn't posture, they embodied. That's dignity, not pride, not arrogance, but a powerful stillness that says, I know who I am and I don't need your validation. That kind of man makes the room adjust to him, not the other way around. The masculine mindset, calm is power. Masculinity isn't about being loud or flashy. It's about being grounded, present, steady. The man who walks slowly, breathes deeply, and observes carefully. He owns the room without saying a word. He doesn't need to dominate conversations. He listens, measures, speaks only when it matters. And when he does, People lean in, because stillness has weight, and calmness commands respect. Practical steps to build this presence. 1. Walk slowly and deliberately. Don't rush. Fast movements scream insecurity and need for approval. Slow down. Move like every step is a choice. This tells the world you're in control, not just of the room but of yourself. 2. Practice posture and breathing. Stand tall, shoulders back, head level, and breathe deep from the diaphragm, not the chest. Shallow breath is anxious energy. Controlled breath is dominance in disguise. Every inhale and exhale should say, I'm not here to chase, I'm here to lead. 3. Maintain focused, calm eye contact. Don't dart your eyes. Don't stare them down. Just look directly, calmly, without tension. This is how you establish authority without aggression. No need to prove anything. Your still gaze does all the talking. 4. Speak only when needed and with weight. You don't need to fill every silence. Let others talk. Let them rush to be heard. When you do speak, speak slowly, speak clearly, speak with intention. Make every word count, because when silence is your default, your voice becomes a weapon. 5. Practice mindfulness to eliminate fidgeting and nervous energy. Fidgeting screams, I'm uncomfortable. A calm man isn't restless, he's grounded. Practice mindfulness. Observe your movements, your body language. Become aware of your hands, your face, your breath. Every inch of you should communicate one message. I'm not shaken by this moment. I own it. Presence isn't built in the mirror, it's built in the mind. You don't need attention. You don't seek validation. You're not performing, you're embodying. And that energy, it speaks louder than any words. It silences insecure men. It commands feminine respect, and it kills egos without ever raising your voice. That's real power, and it's yours if you train it. 5. Withdraw strategically. Disarm by disengaging. Here's something most men never learn. You don't need to win the argument to win the war. Sometimes the most powerful move you can make is to walk away, not out of weakness, not out of fear, but because your energy is too expensive to waste. The ego thrives on conflict. It feeds on drama, attention, and emotional engagement. But when you pull the plug, when you remove your energy completely, you starve it to death. That's power. Why it works. Every manipulator, narcissist, and emotionally chaotic person shares one thing in common. They need your attention to feel powerful. The moment you stop giving it, they shrink. The ego cannot survive in silence. It cannot breathe without recognition. So when you disengage, intentionally, silently, completely, you become the one in control. They chase you. They spin stories. They try to drag you back into the game. But you've already left the table, because you don't play games with people who aren't worth your time. The Stoic principle, detachment from outcomes. The Stoics taught this relentlessly. Do what is right, not what guarantees applause. Speak when it's needed, not when it's expected. And most importantly, detach from needing a reaction. You don't need to prove your point. You don't need to win the moment. You only need to protect your peace. That's the victory most men overlook. The masculine mindset, walk away without explaining. A man who knows his worth doesn't over-explain. He doesn't plead. He doesn't defend his boundaries. He simply walks quietly, directly, and permanently. And when you can do that without anger, without guilt, without needing to be understood, you become unbreakable. Because a man who can walk away without flinching owns every room he enters. Practical steps to apply this today. 1. Identify when conversations become ego traps. Not every battle deserves your presence. If you're arguing just to be right, you've already lost. Stop, breathe. Ask, is this about truth or ego? If it's ego, step back. Don't feed the fire. 2. Leave with intention. Not in anger, but certainty. Storming out is drama, but calmly walking away, that's dominance. You don't raise your voice. You don't justify. You leave because your peace is more important than their chaos. 3. Limit access to your presence. You are not public property. Your energy isn't free. Start treating your time and attention like currency. If someone drains it, they no longer get access. No long speeches, no closure, just distance. 4. Cut off people who drain your energy. That friend who always complains. That ex who keeps testing your boundaries. That co-worker who thrives on gossip. Silence them, not with words, with absence. You're not required to carry dead weight. 5. Build a life so good you no longer need to prove anything. When you're locked into your purpose, when you're hitting the gym, stacking money, building mastery, you don't have time to explain yourself. You don't care what they think, because your life is proof. Your results are the revenge. Disengagement is not weakness. It's calculated warfare. It says, I know what I bring, I know what I protect, and I don't owe you my presence. Let them spiral, let them guess, let them talk. You're gone, not out of fear, but because your silence says everything. And in that silence, you win. Number 6, control the frame. Always be the observer. You want the ultimate power move. Stop trying to be the center of attention and start controlling the room without saying a word. This is what most men don't understand. The man who speaks the loudest usually has the least control. Real power isn't about dominating the spotlight. It's about owning the frame from the shadows. Here's the truth. The ego needs attention. It wants the applause, the validation, the last word. So when you refuse to feed it, when you step back and observe instead of perform, you flip the script. You put the spotlight on them, and you don't clap. You watch. You stay still. You let them reveal themselves. And that shakes people to their core. Why it works? The ego expects a reaction. It expects resistance. It expects to be challenged, defended against, argued with. But when you don't react, when you just observe without judgment, you break the performance. Suddenly they become self-conscious. They start doubting themselves. They wonder what you're thinking, what you're seeing, what you know. You're not emotionally involved. You're not trying to impress or fight back. You're the one watching from above. And in that quiet surveillance, their ego crumbles, because nothing is more uncomfortable to a performative person than not knowing if they're being admired or studied. The Stoic principle, observation without judgment. The Stoics didn't chase control through force. They studied people. They read situations. They let others exhaust themselves while staying centered. Marcus Aurelius said, "Be like the cliff against which the waves continually break, but it stands firm and tames the fury of the water." Be like the cliff against which the waves continually break, but stands firm and tames the fury of the water. That's your job, not to prove yourself, but to anchor the energy of the room by simply observing. The masculine mindset, be the frame, not the picture. Most men want to be the picture, loud, flashy, admired, but men of substance know the frame holds the picture. It gives it meaning. You don't need the spotlight. You are the atmosphere. Your presence shapes everything, even when you say nothing. Practical steps to apply this today. 1. Ask questions instead of defending yourself. When people try to provoke you, don't explain. Don't justify. Ask questions that turn the mirror back on them. Why does that bother you? Interesting. What made you say that? Let them expose their own ego. You stay still. 2. Remain calm in arguments and let others expose themselves. The moment you raise your voice, you lose your center. Let them yell, let them flail. You stay calm, unmoved, grounded, and watch them unravel in front of you. 3. Speak. Last in conversations. Power doesn't rush to be heard. When you speak last, you speak with precision. You've listened, you've read the room, and when you do speak, it lands like thunder. 4. Use silence as dominance in group settings. You don't need to cut people off or overtalk to own a room. Sit back, make eye contact, lean into the silence, let others feel the weight of your presence. 5. Practice social awareness. Without engagement, start reading people without reacting to them. Notice body language, catch patterns, but stay emotionally neutral. You're collecting information, not trading energy. This makes you untouchable. Control the frame and you control the game, not through noise, not through ego, but through stillness, awareness, and calculated presence. Let others rush to impress. You just watch. Let them talk themselves in circles. You stay centered. Let them flex their ego. You hold the frame, and when the dust settles, you'll be the only one still standing. You've just learned 6 silent power moves that dismantle egos without a single word. These aren't tricks. They're disciplines. They're the foundation of masculine control and Stoic dominance. Now the question is, will you just listen, or will you become the man who doesn't need to speak to be respected? The choice is yours. You don't win battles with ego. You win by staying unmoved, by becoming the man no one can rattle. You want to break someone. You don't scream. You don't argue. You evolve, silently, relentlessly. While they waste energy proving, performing, pretending, you sharpen your mind, your body, your mission, and one day they see who you've become, not through words, not through posts or confrontation, but through presence. And in that moment, their ego doesn't just crack, it collapses under the weight of your transformation. That's the power of silent dominance. That's Stoic masculinity in motion. Start now. Pick one of these silent strategies and apply it today. Don't overthink. Don't wait for permission. Just move. Watch how people shift when you stop reacting and start observing. When you stop chasing validation and start building quietly. If you're ready to stop talking and start leading, subscribe, like, lock in. Because men like you weren't made to follow noise. You were built to lead in silence. This channel is for warriors, not whiners. For men becoming weapons, not victims. So if you're serious about leveling up, welcome to the next phase. Let's get to work.